Thank you, Tuuli. And I wished I could have banged my hand in here and say order, but I mean you came down quietly nicely. I think after Pekka and Anne and Tuuli as well, so how to say, raising the level of inspiration might be a bit of challenging. So I need to try to hyperloop your mind into higher spheres, I suppose. So hopefully I'll do my best. We heard about disruptions, we heard about ecosystems, and Pekka was using the term of killer cocktail, which is probably not a technical term, but rather some sort of disruptional term. What we've seen in the industry, in the business, in our lives is a lot of disruptive phenomena happening. Normally, like I'm representing a traditional industry, let's say maritime equipment, maritime business, all of that. People in any sector don't want to watch too much further away from their own field. They want to see that, you know, if I'm in mining, all the things are happening in mining. If I'm in maritime, we kind of tend to close our eyes on the generic things that are happening in the society. And it looks like data is taking over, and the killer cocktail is good for us as private citizens, but it's probably not good for well-established industries or players in the field. So if you were a hotel operator and suddenly you have hotels.com, so you are in a different place. So these things are taking place at the moment, mostly in consumer business. What does this mean in for example, in our business is that there's a lot of different types of opportunities for us to take a look, you know, what we can do in digitalization. As you can see, it's not very marinized per se. So this kind of approach can be used for any type of industry, mainly for, let's say, higher levels of autonomy and what have you. But technical development alone is not enough for you to take a new, how would I say, driver's seat in the ecosystem. But you need to take a more broader look what is really happening. So what we think is that these business-related things are the ones that are really creating a change. Then technology is more like an enabler. And I think Pekka was saying already that, you know, many of the technologies are already there. A lot of them are evolving, of course, but a lot of the stuff is already there. So it's about our ability to transform technology in a usable form so that the business can utilize it. But you can see it's a lot of digital alliances, new roles, new players, digital startups and all. In maritime business, in our own field, this means that when we are developing something as disruptive as autonomous ships, we might not have the same customers anymore when those vessels are coming to market, because we are seeing a big change in the industry. Pekka was showing a picture where actually we no longer talked about an integrated supply chain, but rather ecosystems and partnerships and what have you. Now, what is important is that today our business in maritime logistics is quite fragmented. So what is important is that the data must flow all the way from the source, you know, to the end user. So for example, in container transport, the data is not really following the container easily. So for us, it's quite difficult then to follow everything what's happening with our own shipments. What's happening in our field, I guess in any industry, is that you will have new players. My theory with the investor point is that if you have, for example, SAS and Norwegian as airlines, and Norwegian is probably the disruptor, it might be easier to get investor funding for a disruptor that has a lower cost base than the party that is going to be challenged. So therefore, for example, autonomous ships or new business models actually do attract investors. So it might well be that the parties in the ecosystem that have used to get all the funding do not get easy funding anymore. The outcome with autonomous shipping is not like it would be high-tech shipping, but what we are aiming at is a low-cost smart shipping. So the thing again is something that the end customer, i.e., for example, all of us can benefit. So if we do any shopping from China, for example, so today we have to book the transportation from the same company that we are doing our e-business with. But in the future, the transportation can be booked as easily as doing e-business. So then actually the low cost is also then an outcome of that easiness, what is provided with the easy flow of data. In our field, autonomous shipping, what are the possible first movers? We are seeing on the left-hand side a passenger ferry. It's kind of a paradox, but we see that short distance passenger ferries are actually quite easy to automate, and some of those ferries are even steered with a cable, so they are not really maneuvering too much, they're just accelerating and going from point A to B. Short sea ships and some special ships. So what we have said is that the shipping is not coming all over the places at once, it's a long journey, but autonomy will come also to maritime applications, just like it is coming to our private lives through autonomous cars. Not every car on every gravel road in 150 kilometers per hour will be that, but there will be applications. And this is the roadmap that we have in our company, what we see how this thing is going to go. And it will be a long journey. We'll have a lot of very fast tests and trials quite soon, but then the ultimate approval process is taking a long time. This is an important picture. This is something what raised a lot of interest from OECD peer review group last week, that they are reviewing specific businesses. So last week they were assessing Finnish maritime business in comparison to other maritime businesses around the world. And they were placing a lot of questions about what the heck is an ecosystem? You know, what is it really? And this is something that I can just show the project we have. This is it's first of all, it's a DIMEC project. DIMEC is a co-funded, co-owned setup based on academia and industry, and it is hosting a project that is starting to create this ecosystem. So we call it an ecosystem project, but itself it's not an ecosystem, but it's actually enabling to create an ecosystem. In this project that is partly Tekes funded, we have collected our competitors around the same table. So we're having frequent meetings with our competitors. So for example, Rolls-Royce, ABB, Wärtsilä, you know, we typically are competitors in our field. We have decided to join forces in order to do things that would be more difficult or more time consuming to do by ourselves. So for example, here in authorities last week, it was a great day. We went to London to International Maritime Organization Safety Committee meeting. First time in history, we provided a lot of input in autonomy. We tasked the Finnish Transport Safety Agency actually to collect like-minded nations around the world, about half a dozen nations. And we provided IMO with a view on autonomy, and it was a success. Now we have started the rule-changing process globally, and we managed to do it. And it's a lot of, let's say, you know, competence in this nation also to be able to do it, but mainly it's about collaboration. There are testing areas underway that we are doing. We have been discussing funding to related projects. We have research ecosystems, we have startup ecosystems and what have you. This is something, this is the new world, it's about collaboration. And we have been very, very pleased to see that this is starting to work very effectively. So it is, let's say, benefiting all of us, including our competitors. Then what we do as a company in Finland, we have made a decision to create an R&D center to focus on remotely controlled and autonomous vehicles, vessels, and we have also announced that we'll spend 230 million euros on related development. And this is going to be big money in any case, because this is going to be a quantum step. This is a summary. So just, how would I say, to summarize, the future is here and now. So what we just need to do is to roll our sleeves and start the journey. And then, you know, try to be on the side of those who will not perish, but who will sort of survive all this disruption. And the collaboration and ecosystem is the new order. And it's a new order because together we are stronger. Thank you.